Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for our letter from a fan segment. I got a letter from one of you guys that I've got a lot of letters like this over the years. A lot of people asking me how they can do something close to what I do or what I'm doing or something in the music industry, and I will read one of those letters in a second as well, and we'll get deep into that topic and deep into what I feel is my best advice on this matter. Something that I've had to deal with personally as somebody who has, in a way, kind of chased after his dreams, as it were. And also somebody who, even though you may see me as being in a point of success with what I do, I still think about a lot of these questions and a lot of these solutions and a lot of these issues every day, even being in the position that I'm in. I do have to say that this video is sponsored by the good people over at Skillshare. Skillshare is a learning community with over 17,000 classes in design, photo, and more. I know there are a lot of graphic designers in my audience, a lot of photo people in my audience as well, and they also have courses on entrepreneurship and film, writing as well. I know there are a lot of writers, a lot of people who hit me up asking me how to improve their writing or how to write about music and that sort of thing, or get into more of a journalism field. So there are options and there are classes out there for a lot of you guys that I think you'd be interested in. They are pretty cheap, much cheaper than most learning platforms at $10 a month, and that gives you access to all sorts of experts and, take classes with them, possibly get connections in your field to help working at doing what it is you really want to do. And more information as well as a link to check out the Skillshare website down there below in the description box. Again, thank you for the sponsorship of this video. Let me enlarge myself over here in front. I'm just going to enlarge myself in front of you right there. And let me get this letter out. This letter seems like it was written in somewhat dire straits by Alex. This is definitely not one of the brighter letters in this vein that I have gotten. He says, "Sup, thick boy? I don't know if this is a topic you want to talk about or anything." Oh, yes, it is. Probably not because it's boring as shit. I don't think it is. I think planning for your future is very important. It may be boring, as far as like an individual perspective, and it's not exactly exciting for other people to watch, but it's something we all have to do. Planning for our future is something that we all have to do. Planning out our careers, thinking about where we're actually going in life, we have to kind of do it. As hard as it is, and as dismal as the economy is for the millennial generation. I know a lot of us aren't exactly excited to do this because crap is so dismal. The economy is so dismal for us. The job opportunities out there for us are so few and far between, and a lot of us are struggling with student loans. A lot of us are struggling to make rent, get into a house, start on a lot of the adult things that the baby boomers did before us at much cheaper prices and with much more job security. But still, I think that means doing this sort of planning is more important than ever, because if we don't, then we're going to be up shit creek without a paddle. So throughout my education, I have had this idea to focus on, not focus on studying, as I would not need it in my future career, but I am only realizing that I completely suck at making music. So this person was going for a career in making music. And now I have no clue what to do. I'm fully in a rut and was just wondering if you had any advice, my man. Thanks. XX, kiss, kiss. And again, that was written by Alex. Alex, thank you for sending that in. No, of course I want to answer this question. My answers to this are twofold. Let's say music, and that's just hypothetically the field we're going to work with here, because that is the field that the writer of the letter brought up. Let's say you want to work in music, okay? There are only going to be so many little pumps in the world. Chances are, if you are watching my programs and you are watching my videos and you are following music quite closely, you're probably not a little pump dude. You're probably not like going to be the next little pump or anything like that. Maybe, possibly, I guess the potential is there. But because all sorts of people watch my videos. But chances are you're not trying to be the next little pump. So what I'm telling you here is, if you want to make it in music, if you want to be in the music industry, if you just want to function and exist and make a career in the music industry, you need to think long term. You need to think fundamentals as far as talent and abilities, because what you're going to need to do is basically hone your craft, whatever it is you do. You produce, you sing, you play sax. You want to fine tune that talent. You know, you write songs, you ghostwrite, something like that. You're a songwriter. You want to hone that craft so that it is widely applicable as possible across the industry, so that you're not just simply writing for yourself. Lots of artists out there who are great singers or good writers who write music for themselves also write music and write songs for other artists as well, do songwriting for other artists too, to help, you know, make ends meet or make more money or get their names out even more. You can't just simply make a living these days. A lot of artists don't. Just simply being, I'm going to be the solo guy and I'm just going to do my own thing and that's it. Like, a lot of people in the music industry these days are wearing multiple hats. You know, you have some artists who are doing their own recording. Some artists are doing their own booking. Some artists are putting out albums, going on tour, but they also have a full-time job on the side as well, hanging out in the background, that they take a break from to go out on tour or go record a little bit until they basically get an album done. There are a lot of ways to succeed and sort of make music a part of your life. It doesn't necessarily need to be a full-time thing. And again, if you are going to make it in the industry, let's say you produce or something, you're going to want to find different artists to produce for. You're not just going to want to do production for yourself and that sort of thing. You're going to want to find other artists to work with, produce for, maybe help other artists put their records together and get paid doing that. You want to take your talents and abilities and find out how to essentially market them effectively outside of the context of you. Of course, if you're a singer, of course, if you're a writer, of course, if you're a producer, you can always do those things for yourself and for your own personal music career, you know, create material and perform for you and for whatever you feel like is going to push your career forward. But also using those talents to make money by helping other people's careers or adding to other people's pieces of art can also advance you or give you more career stability too. So don't look at music or making money in music as you know, this black and white sort of thing. You know, there are a lot of different ways to succeed and make your way through the industry. And on top of all of that, I guess the second fold of my advice here that I want to give out is have a fallback plan, please. In no matter what, you know, sort of dream artistic field you see yourself going into. Because as I alluded to earlier in the video, even still today, at the point that I'm in, I have ideas and sort of, I guess, ripcord pulls planned out in my head that, okay, if like YouTube folds tomorrow, what am I going to do? Do I take a bunch of money and do I go, you know, get another degree? Do I try to go into PR? Do I try to talk to these connections, those connections, these other connections? I'm not saying that I've completely settled on any of these decisions. All I'm saying is I'm just sort of throwing ideas out there, things that I have in my head. If X or Y or Z does not work out, you know, go on this video site, go on that video site, start producing for this place, start producing for that place, start writing for this place. So there are ideas and concepts in my head. And even if the needle drop didn't work out or go anywhere, I was planning on doing political reporting or trying to work at, you know, full-time a public radio station. Before that, I even had aspirations to go into accounting because I'm very good with numbers and, you know, keeping track of ledgers and that sort of thing. And I have some accountants in my family. So, you know, those had been my fallback plans before. And hey, you know, maybe even if things fold in a week from now, you know, still potentially I could go into those fields or do those things. So always have a fallback plan, okay? Because the thing about music is, unless you're going to a super top tier, amazing music school and you've got great chops going into it and you know that that school has connections to help you get into the career path that you're going to go into, art school can be tough. Art school can be really tough. And I've had some friends that have gone in, they've graduated, and they haven't necessarily felt like they've gotten much of anything out of their education outside of debt. And again, that's not just me completely writing off the idea of art school or music school. Absolutely not. But if you are going to go into such a field, again, think about how widely applicable your skills and what you are learning are going to be, how, where you're going to bring those skills and abilities in order to help you make the rent and live life. Because if the answer is, wow, none of this really seems applicable, then that's the answer. If you can't figure out a way to use it, then you need to figure out how to learn something that you're actually going to be able to use. And I know that might sound like a little, a little dismissive, but it's absolutely not. All I'm trying to do is recommend to you to give yourself the skills that you need in order to basically survive. Because honestly, that's important point numero uno. Because if you're not there, if you're not at that baseline level of survival, in this economy especially, then whatever that dream is that you have in your head, like that's not going to be attainable at all. Like if you can't afford to live, if you can't afford to feed yourself, like whatever dreams you have of spending your days in a music studio just rapping away and everybody thinks you're the next fucking Eminem, like that, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You need to have the means to execute your goals. So I'm not trying to shy away you guys from your dreams. I'm not. I'm absolutely not. I'm recommending that you have a fallback plan, and that as long as you plan out and you are responsible and you think about where your career is headed and where you want to be in the future, choosing a life path, it's not a black and white thing. There's room for having a job on the side, because I've talked with a lot of musicians who have come up after I've reviewed them, or have, come up and they've been watching my reviews since before they blew up, and I've had an opportunity to talk with them, and some of them have been like, yeah, I used to work in IT, or I used to sell shoes, or I used to, act in theater, or I used to, do a whole myriad of different things before this music thing blew up for me. And a lot of people in the music industry, you don't necessarily know, because people don't want to talk about their past. They want to talk about the success they're seeing right now. I used to work in a restaurant, that sort of thing. A lot of them don't talk about that stuff because it's not glamorous. It's not fun. It's not interesting. A lot of these people come from very humble backgrounds. Obviously not all. There are some people out there in the music industry who came into the music industry with quite a bit of money, because they came from money, and, that just kind of is what it is. But that's not everybody. And most likely if you're watching this video, that's not you. So I'm saying, again, there's room for a lot of different things in your life path. Just because you choose to have a job on the side, or have a main career that is going to be there and is going to bring you stability, doesn't mean that you can't be a good artist, doesn't mean that you won't have time for photography, doesn't mean that you won't have time for design or writing or whatever it is you're passionate about. If you're passionate about it and you care about it and you really want it to be a part of your life, whether you have a part-time job, a full-time job, whatever you need to do to make ends meet, if you really care about the thing, you're going to make time for it no matter what. If in order to succeed or make music, you have to have nothing else going on in your life, then I don't know, like, how much do you really care about it? Because if you really do care about it, you're going to make room for it. You're going to make time for it regardless of what your situation is, what your context is, what it is you're doing outside of it. So that's kind of my advice to you guys. If you're going to go into a certain specific field where there's a lot of competition, it's success is very subjective, and you're talking about mostly art fields here. Try to gain skills and gain abilities that are going to be widely applicable across the industry, so that you can, do side jobs, maybe do some corporate jobs to sort of pull things together while you see success in whatever it is your solo venture or your main goal is. And beyond that, have a big fat fallback plan as well for your education and your career. Something that's a little bit more solid, something that's a little bit more maybe, collar and tie, that sort of thing, if that needs to be the case. Although, workplaces are changing all the time now, much more progressive and sort of permissive than they used to be. But still, have that fallback plan, have that plan B. Have that thing that you're going to do if whatever doesn't pan out. I did, and I'm happy I did, and I still kind of do. So, because not everything works out for the best. It just doesn't. Okay, no matter how hard you try. Okay, so don't get stuck in a rut. Don't get caught there not knowing what to do next. Because once you are, truth be told, I hate to say it, you're essentially going from scratch once again. And you're going to have to build back from the ground up and kind of rewind a little bit and say, okay, I need to sit down and think about what it is I'm actually going to do to make ends meet. And then once things are a little bit more stable, then maybe I go back to my passion, or I go back to what it is I really want to do and try to hone that to see if I could see some success with that, or at least just get personal pleasure out of it. Because not everybody who makes music or plays with music or fiddles with instruments needs to make a career out of it. Sometimes it can just be a hobby. Sometimes it can just be something that you're just really good at, that you love. Some of the most amazing musicians I've ever met in my life have just been hobbyists. They're not out playing there on the world stage and gigging every night. They're at home, they're practicing, they're honing their skills, and they're just really great, fantastic drummers and guitarists and producers. So I think that's going to be it, guys. That's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this advice has made sense to you guys. Shout out once more to Skillshare. Information and link down there below in the description box. And stay safe and be good and plan and think about where you're going and where you're headed, because I want to see you guys succeed. I don't want to see the millennial generation crumble. I want to see them persevere despite all the hurdles that have been thrown in front of them. And I think the potential is there. The ability for you guys to do that is there. It's just that it's going to require a little bit more planning and forethought than was most likely the case with previous generations. Because it's not that you guys are less hardworking than anybody who has come before you. It's that there have been a lot of obstacles economically thrown in front of you that previous generations have not. And you can overcome them. It's just going to take a little bit more forethought and hunkering down. And that's it. So you guys are the best. I'll see you in the next video. Over here next to my head is another video you can click on, or hit up the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Fallback Plans. I'm out forever.